Hey everyone, welcome back to Matt's Digital Odyssey. I've talked tech, I've talked video games, a lot of video games actually. So now to shift gears to another digital aspect that's also personal. We're diving into the stories that didn't just entertain me, but helped shape how I kind of see the world. The ones that made me think, made me cry, or even made me whisper, damn, that hit different. Now, I'm not going to get into all of them today because if I did, we'd be stuck here for a 3-hour solo podcast that's just me spiraling into monologues. For now, let's just start with ones that are always swirling around in my head. Agent Venom. Flash Thompson, from schoolyard bully to disabled war vet and somehow to superhero. When Agent Venom launched, I rolled my eyes. I'm an Eddie Brock fan. He's always going to be Venom. Flash controlling the symbiote? That seemed wrong, but it couldn't have been worse than Mac Gargan, I guess. But as I read more, I got it. Flash always wanted to be the hero. He always looked up to Spider-Man. And he was broken, physically and mentally, but still trying. And the symbiote didn't just bond with him, it became something better with him. This wasn't just a new host, it was a redemption arc done right. Beautiful, brutal, and heartfelt. Silent Hill: Shattered Memories. I've talked about it many times, but it's a psychological horror game done right. Silent Hill: Shattered Memories flips the script. From the moment you sit down with a therapist, it's not just a horror game, it's a mirror, one that changes depending on how you play, what you say, and how honest you are. It took the vibe of the original Silent Hill and twisted it into something deeply personal. And that twist at the end, everyone should experience that, so no spoilers. But let's just say it left me staring at the credits in silence. The game didn't just scare, it made me feel. It made me confront regret and loss in a way that most games wouldn't even dare. The Iron Giant. Every time I watch this movie, I cry. It's a masterclass in storytelling. A weapon who doesn't want to be one. And a boy who sees the best in that giant. You are who you choose to be, and Superman. That line gets me every single time. The sacrifice, the legacy, the choice. It isn't just a kid's movie. It's a story about finding humanity in the most unexpected places. And yes, Vin Diesel as the giant, absolutely top tier. The Wolf Among Us. Fairy tales, we all grew up with them. So when The Wolf Among Us dropped and let me play as Bigby, the literal big bad wolf trying to do good, I was hooked. This isn't your typical hero's journey either. It's messy, noir, twisted, and every character from Snow White to Mr. Toad is living in this broken fairy tale world just trying to survive. Bigby became one of my all-time favorite characters because he knows his past, but he fights to be more than it. Redemption, identity, and moral gray areas. I was all in. Agatha all along, but specifically episode 7, Death's Hand in Mine. This episode just stands out as poignant exploration of Lilia Calder's journey. Patti LuPone delivers a masterful performance, portraying Lilia's struggle with her divination powers and her quest for self-acceptance. But the narrative's non-linear structure mirrors her own fragmented experience of time and immerses viewers in her perspective. The episode's emotional depth is further amplified by its visual storytelling. From the symbolic tarot cards to the haunting imagery of Lilia's past, each scene is crafted to reflect her internal turmoil and growth. Critics have lauded this installment as a standout in the series, with some calling it one of the best episodes of Marvel television entertainment, period. Moreover, this episode's impact is evident in the reception it got, garnering 4.2 million views globally within a day of streaming. The Guardians of the Galaxy video game. Guardians of the Galaxy surprised me with its deep emotional story about a broken teen learning to be a family. It followed a lot of the same beats as the movie, but the story wasn't just action and jokes, it was about healing, grief, and acceptance. Star-Lord's journey from arrogance to responsibility mirrors what we all go through in real life, and the realization that growth comes from both sacrifices and reconnections. Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus was a game that turned everything I thought I once knew about heroism on its head. It's not just about fighting massive colossi, it's about the emotional cost of doing so. The protagonist's quest to save his love is noble, but by the end of the game you realize that his choices have consequences. The monster fights represent the sacrifice he's willing to make, but they also symbolize how his quest is slowly destroying him. What We Do in the Shadows, the TV series. What We Do in the Shadows balances absurd humor with genuine emotional depth. The show's about vampires, sure, but it's also about identity, loneliness, and finding a sense of belonging. It also is probably the funniest television show that has been produced in the last 10 years. And despite their centuries of life, these vampires are still struggling with their own personal growth. The show is endlessly funny, but it also sneaks up on you with its heart. Mandalorian revived Star Wars for me after the disappointment of the sequel series. It focuses on Din Djarin, a bounty hunter who, after finding Grogu, begins to refine his purpose. And it's about redemption, learning to care for something beyond yourself and stepping up to be a father figure, even when you're not ready for it. The quest, subtle emotional moments are what really resonated with me. It's just such strong storytelling, and it delivered so much more that we wanted from a Star Wars series. But honestly, these are just the tip of the iceberg. I had a list of probably hundreds. I wanted to dive into Watchmen, Old Man Logan, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Stranger Things, Undergrads, X-Men 97, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Clone Wars, The Truman Show, and even Marvel Zombies. They were fighting for top spots on today's list. But I had to draw the line somewhere, or we'd be here for an audiobook length episode. There are so many more stories that influence my love of storytelling, but maybe, just maybe, I'll revisit those stories in later episodes. So until then, that wraps up this week's Matt's Digital Odyssey. Was there any stories that really resonated with you, something that you absolutely can never get out of your head? Feel free to hit me up on social media at Marlat Media. So until then, remember to keep exploring, keep dreaming, and I'll see you in the next Odyssey.